Hey guys, it's Jessica Hayes. So it has been 1 year now since I made the transition to a vegan diet and lifestyle, and I'm putting this video together with a bunch of questions that you have asked me on Instagram. So this video basically is going to be answering those questions about the transition, about my diet, about changes, fashion, makeup, and all of that. So if you're curious about my transition to veganism in the last year, then keep watching. So the first question I have is, how long have you been vegan and were you vegetarian first? So in a few days it will be 13 months since my husband and I went vegan. Prior to that I was pescatarian for about a year, and prior to that I was eating meat, but I had definitely dabbled with vegetarianism in the past, a few times when I was younger as a teenager as well. The next question is, was it a hard transition? The short answer to that is no. I did think the transition was going to be a lot more daunting than it actually was. I always thought it would be challenging or inconvenient, but it's been great. There hasn't been a single negative aspect of the transition at all. It's been really exciting trying new vegan restaurants, trying new recipes, trying new makeup brands, brush brands, fashion brands. So I think for me, the anticipation of it being a difficult transition, the excitement of different things definitely made everything seem a lot easier too. Where do you go to for vegan recipes? So if I'm cooking at home, it's either going to be Green Chef, or a lot of the time I use Minimalist Baker. She has a ton of recipes and they're all 8 ingredients or less. So it's super easy to cook and you don't have to buy a ton of things to be able to make her delicious recipes. If I'm after comfort food, I do have a few different vegan cookbooks from Isa Chandra. She has a vegan holiday cookbook which has all of the stuff that you would eat on Thanksgiving and Christmas and Super Bowl and all different stuff, and you can find a lot of comfort foods in there as well. The next question is, did you have any family or friends judge you about going vegan? If so, how did you deal with it? So luckily my family were really cool about it, as well as my husband's family too. I am very grateful and thankful that they have been supportive with that, because I know that some people's family might not be so accepting with it. I feel like with my mum, she's known since I was little. I remember coming home from grade 3 school camp and she had prepared me lamb chops or something for dinner, and I just started crying into the plate, and she thought she had made my favorite meal, but I think I was probably vegetarian for like 3 weeks after that. So I have been dabbling with it since I was really young. As for my friends, luckily I have a bunch of really great girlfriends that also transitioned to being vegan around the same time as I did, so that is really helpful, having a bunch of great girlfriends that can kind of support you as well as share different recipes and restaurants. I definitely have a lot of friends that aren't vegan as well, but they're pretty accepting for the most part. There has been a few little shitty comments here and there, but you always have to remember that you were once in their position, and some people are just gonna act like that. Yeah, I don't have any friends that have been nasty to me about making a compassionate lifestyle choice. I'm great. The next question is, what made you finally decide to go vegan in the first place? There was a few events that happened along a series of time. I definitely watched a few documentaries that had me initially interested in the health benefits of being on a plant-based diet, and also the environmental damage that it was doing to the final straw for it was making the connection between me loving my dog so much and why is it any different for any other animal that I'm about to use for my own palate pleasure or fashion or vanity. So that movie was actually Okja on Netflix, fictional CGI movie that was really well done. It just finally made me make the connection between my pets and every single other animal that I was essentially contributing towards their harm. So a question that I've gotten asked a lot is quick and easy vegan meals. And if you've followed me on Instagram for long enough, you'll see that I quite often post my food porn of my Green Chef meals. I have had a Green Chef subscription for a few months now. So Green Chef is a USDA certified organic company that includes all of the ingredients you need to create delicious meals you can feel good about. The recipes are really quick and easy, and they have step-by-step instructions as well as photos to go along with it and chef tips. Also, they have a little suggested plating photo as well, which I always love. Green Chef also sends a wide variety of delicious organic ingredients, and they also have new imaginative recipes from all different cultural cuisines every single week. The thing I love the most about it is that I don't have to grocery shop, which is half of the struggle of creating a really delicious gourmet meal. So the ingredients come pre-measured, perfectly proportioned, and mostly prepped. Everything that you need to create the meals is handpicked and delivered right to your door. So with Green Chef, it's super easy to maintain a vegan diet. I am actually full right now from a Green Chef meal my husband made for me tonight, and it was absolutely delicious. Literally every time we take a bite, I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is so freaking good. For me, it makes my life a lot easier because I don't have to go to the grocery store and buy 15 different spices and herbs. They put absolutely everything that you're going to need for the meal, and it's truly the quality of a really super fancy gourmet restaurant. You can get meal plans that include paleo, vegan, vegetarian, keto, gluten-free, omnivore, and carnivore, but obviously I always go for the vegan box. And even if you are still a meat eater, this can be a really great way for you to transition easily into maybe a few days of the week of not eating meat. You're going to have the recipe all ready for you, the ingredients all there for you as well. And then it will also introduce you to different foods or different ingredients that you've never had before. If you order your first box of Green Chef, you will get $50 off if you use this website right here, greenchef.us/Jessica Hayes. So that is $50 off your first box of Green Chef, greenchef.us/Jessica Hayes. Next question is, you don't miss the taste of meat like carne asada? I actually don't. There are so many good vegan options. I'm sure if you found a restaurant that sold vegan Mexican food that you probably wouldn't even notice the difference between the vegan carne asada and the real meat, because you have to remember that these dishes have a ton of spices on them, and spices are all vegan. It's mainly the flavor that's coming from those vegan things on top of the meat. The next question is a great one. It says, are you super strict? Do you ever have cheat moments? If not, how do you avoid temptation? Yes, I am super strict. I don't ever have cheat moments, and the way that I avoid temptation is it's a moral obligation for me now that my eyes have been opened up to the extreme suffering of animals. It's just, there is nothing in the world that could be worth it to me. No mascara or leather jacket or ice cream or pizza is worth contributing to any animal suffering in my eyes. Once your eyes have kind of been opened like that, there is not a single temptation in the world that would make you want to break that promise that you have given to yourself and the animals. Another question is, oh my god, how did you leave cheese and eggs? And my response to that is, for cheese, just watch a video of a mother cow chasing her baby cow that has just been stolen away from her so that we can produce milk for ourselves rather than for her brand new baby calf that needs it. And for eggs, if you watch a video of the male chicks being ground alive because they are no longer needed, because male chicks are not needed in the egg producing industry, you'll never want to eat cheese and eggs again. And also there are so many good vegan cheese substitutes these days. The next question is, do meat alternatives really taste like meat? I'm not a huge meat fan to begin with. Some of them do taste a lot like meat. So say if you're not a huge meat fan to begin with, or maybe if you've been vegetarian for a really long time and you haven't dabbled with any of the newer meat alternatives that are around, it might be a little odd for you. The texture can be quite similar to meat. But I do think that meat alternatives are a great way to introduce yourself to a vegan diet without having to change up how you cook or what you eat in the beginning. But there are so many other things that you can eat that aren't meat alternatives: tofu, tempeh, seitan, quinoa, legumes, grains. Which brings me to the most common question ever asked to vegans. It is something that I answer almost every day now, and that's, how do you get your protein? There are a ton of different ways of how to get your protein. Originally, when my husband and I first started off in this vegan diet, just to simplify it a little bit, we were just cooking the meals that we had always cooked with meat alternatives. So we would use a lot of Beyond Meat and Beyond Chicken or Beyond Beef crumbles. But now that we're experimenting a little more and feeling really stable about our diet, we definitely use different things like legumes, grains, beans, lots of tofu. I love tofu now that I know how to cook it. Tempeh, I love tempeh. Seitan as well. That's really actually quite easy to make yourself at home too. There's tons of stuff that has protein in it, and the best way, if you're really counting your macros, to figure that out is to do MyFitnessPal or one of those apps that you can count your nutrition goals to, just to make sure that you are getting enough protein. The next question is, how easy is it to go from eating dairy cheese to vegan cheese? I feel this is where I'd struggle the most. I think that this is a really common thing. A lot of people are very addicted to cheese, and I feel like this is most of the reason why most vegetarians aren't vegan yet. There are a ton of vegan cheese options that there's so many new ones coming out every week. Tried so much vegan cheese lately, and there are some really, really great ones. I love Violife cheese. I love Miyoko's cheese. If anyone's ever tried vegan cheese before, like a few years ago, it was probably terrible, but there's so many good options out now. You can at least try a few of them to see if you like them. What are your tips for finding substitutes for your faves that had meat or animal products? I use Google a lot. Say a recipe for vegan carne asada, I would just Google vegan carne asada, and I'm sure a bunch of great recipes are gonna pop up. Vegan pizza, maybe a bunch of good recipes are gonna pop up, and maybe some vegan pizza options around your area will also pop up as well. I also use Google to search for, say, vegan toothpaste list. I actually just used it this afternoon for vegan Paula's Choice list. So that is definitely a really helpful tool. The next one is a great question. It is, what's your advice to someone who is having a hard time transitioning to vegan? I know that for a lot of people, it might be hard or sad to watch the videos or documentaries that show the extreme pain and suffering that goes on in factory farming, but honestly, that is the number one thing that keeps me passionate about this lifestyle, and it keeps me knowing that when I live a life that's not harmful to any other beings, that I am 100% on the right track. If you kind of feel like you know everything there is to know about it and you're almost at that transition, but you haven't watched a documentary such as Dominion or Earthlings yet, then I strongly suggest to swallow your pride, grab your tissues and watch a documentary like that, because you need to. If you really don't want to contribute to the suffering, then you need to know what's going on. And trust me, it's not fun watching the documentaries like Earthlings or Dominion, but it is important, I think, to know what you're contributing to when you're not leading a vegan lifestyle. How did you do it without breaking the bank? That is a very common question that I have been asked a lot as well. I think it's a common misconception that being vegan is super expensive. Sure, you can make it really expensive if you want. The meat alternatives are sometimes more expensive than buying, you know, your lower quality budget meat. But some of the cheapest things to buy are legumes, grains, vegetables, and all the spices to make those foods a little more interesting as well. So if you are on a budget, you can definitely find a lot of great recipes that aren't super expensive. There are a ton of YouTube videos about being vegan on a budget, and you can also Google inexpensive or cost-efficient vegan meals to make at home as well. Next question is, did you notice any negative side effects during transition, and was it done cold turkey? So like I said at the beginning, I did go from pescatarian to being vegan the next day, and I didn't notice any negative side effects at all, other than in the beginning I did have a little bit of bloating going on because I was adding a lot more fiber to my diet than my body was used to, but that was something that went away after a while. Best advice for someone who wants to be vegan but is always on the go. So my best advice for that would definitely be meal prepping, but as I'm saying that out loud, I have never been one to consistently stick to meal prepping, even though it is a lot more affordable to do meal prep. For me, I do grab a lot of vegan takeout. I can find vegan takeout usually a lot at Middle Eastern restaurants, have lots of options. Indian restaurants usually have lots of options. If you're on the go and on the road, Chipotle or Qdoba have healthy vegan options too. There also is a lot of fast food vegan options, not that I would necessarily recommend fast food all the time. White Castle actually just added the Impossible slider to their menu. There's some stuff that you can get at Taco Bell as well, and you can always find stuff like bananas and nuts and dried fruit and Cliff Bars, which are also vegan at most 7-Elevens too. So the next question is from one of my lovely YouTube subscribers. Hi Chris. It is, what did you do with your favorite non-vegan makeup and wardrobe pieces? Makeup wise, did you finish them and just not repurchase since you had already spent the money? And what about wardrobe? So the answer is no, I didn't throw everything out. I definitely kept some of my favorite pieces and my favorite makeup. I'm just no longer going to purchase anything that isn't vegan. For all of my fashion pieces, I do still have some leather jackets in my wardrobe that I love and will cherish forever. And those are ones that I did purchase before I went vegan. I just simply won't be repurchasing any new leather jackets or shoes or anything like that. Another question is, how did your body react when you first went vegan? It's weird to say, but I've heard a lot of other vegans out there experience it. There's this enlightenment that you get when you stop consuming products that are doing harm to others. You're not ingesting fuel for your body that is just filled of fear and anxiety and depression. So I just feel a lot happier and I feel a lot better about myself. There are definitely physical changes. My skin cleared up a lot. I definitely go through phases where it's not so great, but I pretty much consistently had some kind of acne or breakout before I went vegan, and that has definitely subsided, and I do have a lot of really great skin days. I think I mentioned before that in the beginning I did get a little bit bloated, but that went away pretty quickly. I've also found that I don't get anxiety very much anymore. I used to get anxiety really bad, and it's been about 6 months and I've been off all types of anxiety medication. I can't 100% say whether that's due to my vegan lifestyle or not. It did happen in pretty coincidental timing with it, but I think that's just due to having a little more of a happier feeling and happier lifestyle too. What was the greatest inspo for going vegan and what was the turning point? Well, for me, the turning point to at least being pescatarian or stop eating meat was going to an animal sanctuary, and I highly recommend, if you have one in your area, to visit one. People that are there are very lovely, and they will give you little tidbits and insiders as to like how the animals have been rescued, and it's just awesome just actually being around the animals and making that connection and seeing and hugging and playing with a big cow in real life. Once you have that physical connection, it's almost impossible to go back to even thinking about doing any harm to these beautiful beings. I'm deathly allergic to all nuts. What's a good cheese to try that's nut free? Violife have a ton of different cheeses that you can try. What have you done with your hostile friends? I don't really have any hostile friends, luckily. Like I said, I do surround myself with friends that are respectful, and I've kind of ditched any friends that cause any drama or trouble in my life. So I do not have any friends that are hostile. I've of course had some friends that have made sometimes some shitty remarks, you know, in passing or when they were drunk and a little bit relaxed, but I also understand that there was some point in my life where I may have been like that, maybe not hostile, but everyone's gonna make shitty remarks at some point. There's 3 stages of truth, and it is violent opposition, ridicule, and then acceptance. So anyone that's violently opposing what you're doing or ridiculing you, they might just be on the journey to find the right truth, and it's always just coming from their own insecurities, because subconsciously they know what they're doing is harmful to animals, to the environment, and to their body as well. Just pass it off. And if you have any friends that are truly hostile, then ditch them, because they aren't very good people. How do you deal with not having enough heme iron? Any specific vitamins to take? Well, I think that it's definitely important to realize where you're getting your information from. There is a lot of research on heme iron that it actually causes cardiovascular disease, because the only way that you can get heme iron is through the blood of other animals. So oftentimes there can be studies that are put out and maybe funded by different corporations, such as maybe the meat industry. So it's definitely important to do a lot of research and not just read one article that says, oh my god, you need this iron, it's very important. Vitamins in specific, I don't actually take iron supplements anymore. I was taking them for a little bit, but then I started listing my nutritional values into MyFitnessPal and noticing that just the smoothies alone that I was having every morning with my superfood green powder was enough iron for me for a day. I have also been taking B12 twice a week, but I did just read an article saying that apparently we don't even need B12, so I'll definitely be doing a little more research into that and seeing what the final verdict is about B12 supplements too. But those are the 2 most important vitamins that vegans take, and that's B12 and iron. I've already answered this question, but this is from Lou. What are your favorite quick and easy meals that you love? You are the reason I went vegan. Thank you so much. That just, I know this isn't the question, but for a long time I kind of had almost given up on social media and Instagram, and then I started getting a lot of messages like that that inspire me to keep going, from people telling me that they are now inspired to go cruelty free or vegan or stop eating meat. And honestly, that's the #1 reason why I stay on social media and keep making YouTube videos, because it makes me feel really, really great that I can sprinkle a little bit of positive change into someone's life. So thank you so much for those messages. It really, 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 really makes my day. One of the best things that I've done since going vegan was reading a book that was recommended to me by Kat. It is called How to Build a Vegan World, The Pragmatic Approach. If you are changing to a vegan or vegetarian diet, I highly recommend reading this book. It will just help you be a little less angry about friends or loved ones that haven't made that connection yet. Basically, it just tells you how to build a vegan world in a very nice and pragmatic way. Forcing your views upon people is usually never going to do you any good. I think that when you first become vegan, your eyes first get opened towards all of the suffering and horrible conditions that we are treating our animals with in this day and age. It's so disgusting that you literally want to go out and yell and shake people and be like, how can you contribute to this? Like, why don't you see what I see? Why do you think your taste buds matter more than, you know, that pig that had to die for your slice of bacon? So although there are definitely moments when I feel like that, this book has helped me to process those feelings into more of a productive way. Honestly, in my head, I do feel very idealistic, but I try to practice being pragmatic because we all are well aware of people that pressure other people with their ideals and lifestyles, and it's not a good way to go about things. So other tips and tricks that I have are, I really do think that it's important to watch all the incredible documentaries that we have available to us. If you haven't watched any yet, I would start off with the health and environment ones that don't have a lot of the sadness about factory farming in, just baby steps just to get your feet wet. So watch Forks Over Knives, watch Cowspiracy, watch What the Health, and then when you're ready for a little bit more of the heavy stuff, you can watch Earthlings and Dominion that really show you the truth about what you're contributing to when you eat meat, dairy, and eggs. It isn't a fun thing to watch, but I think it's really a necessary thing to watch because deep down you know that you are contributing to that suffering, and until you really can visualize what is actually happening, then you'll never have enough moral obligation to make that change on your own. Pull the blindfold down, suck it up, watch the videos, because it will truly make you stick to your choices and also make you passionate to maybe sprinkle a little bit of activism into your lifestyle as well. Other things that I highly recommend: visiting animal sanctuaries around your area. Being up and close with those beautiful, beautiful animals will make you not want to wear them or eat them anymore. I would also recommend following Mercy for Animals on Instagram. They have a ton of different information that you can see just in little snippets. Also, their Instagram stories is full of great recommendations and recipes and new food that's up and coming into the plant-based world. That's all I can really think of right now. If you have any questions, make sure you leave them below. I will be answering comments when I upload this video. So I truly, truly hope that this video can inspire you to make some kind of change in your lifestyle. I would recommend just doing it with baby steps. Don't worry about anyone judging you. Just do what you think is right and try to make that positive change in the world. You'll feel so much better. There are so many reasons to go vegan: for the animals, for the environment, for your health, and in 2018 it really is a lot easier than it ever has been. I mean, even being vegan in 1 year, I have definitely seen a lot of change. Even in the area that I live in, new vegan restaurants are popping up. There's new vegan menus in different bars now, and I really do see a more plant-based future, and that's super exciting. So I hope you can be a part of it. All right, guys, see ya.